If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're listening to the Telltale channel. In this podcast, if you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi, if you're unfamiliar with him. He's turning on Trump, believe it or not. Just listen to what he has to say here. It actually blew me away.
As much as I hate to admit it, liberals were right fundamentally about Trump. Whether he has good intentions or bad intentions, whether he means well or not, some people blame his advisors, some people blame people around him. Whatever you think about his culpability, he is in effect, okay? Maybe not consciously or intentionally, but in effect.
God, he's giving so much lead up to this. Like, just get it out. He's so afraid of what his audience is going to do to him when he just says what he has to say. Okay, in effect, he what?
Not consciously or intentionally, but in effect, what he is a demagogue. What he is a populist.
Yeah, no fucking shit. Are you really just realizing this? You got gummy bears in your ears? How did you miss this whole time? Oh my God, dude. I love that saying. That's one of my favorite sayings. How did you miss this? You knew that, Nick Fuentes. You knew that about Trump. That's why you voted for him. You know why he's upset? We're going to listen to the rest of this in a second. You know why Nick Fuentes is upset? Because Trump is using criticism of Israel as the pretext for censoring free speech. And Nick Fuentes is a Nazi that fucking hates Jews because he thinks they're running the world and all, blah, 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 you know, all that other nonsense. I'm pro-Palestine. I support Palestinians to my dying breath. I care about them, and I'm horrified by the fact that there's genocide. That's not why Nick Fuentes is doing this. It's purely out of hate. But he doesn't like the fact that Donald Trump is censoring speech because now it overlaps with him. Up until 5 minutes ago, he was perfectly fine with Donald Trump, the demagogue. He was happy that Trump won. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Just keep listening.
Demagogue. And directionally, what liberals said about him, which is that he was stirring up the rubes, animating the rubes with nativist rhetoric and ginning up resentment against the system to empower himself and the people around him, and then brought the swamp closer to the periphery.
I mean, you knew that. You knew that 8 years ago, okay? When he ran the first time around, everybody saw what he was doing. No one else had questions about this until now. Now you are, coming to realize that he's deeply destructive to literally everything and everybody? Are you serious? When it interferes with you, now you care. It's like Ted Cruz conspicuously never saying a word about gay anything. Never, weighs in on LGBT issues, never says gay marriage should be banned. You know why? Because his daughter is bi. When the issue affects them, they suddenly flip on a dime. And at best, they'll keep their mouths shut. I'm actually surprised Nick Fuentes decided to face this head on.
First and second administration, willing to say and do anything. Yeah, that all kind of turned out to be true. Yeah, that basically turned out to be true.
So I'm like blown away that he's just admitting it, finally. This is what I'm talking about when I say he was happy about what happened previously. He was glad that Trump won the election, and he knew what they were running on. But Nick Fuentes, if you don't know him, he's famous for this little ditty right here. You remember that whole bit after the election, your body, my choice? That was Nick Fuentes. He came up with it.
Feel when we control your bodies. Hey, We control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice.
What a vile sack of right? And I'm not even, like, I haven't even gotten into his Nazi beliefs yet. I'm just saying he's vile for what we're watching right now. Vile doesn't even scratch the surface for this guy, honestly.
My choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never. There will never be a female president, ever. It's over. Glass ceiling. Dude, it's a ceiling made of fucking bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling. We will keep you down forever. You will never control your own bodies. You will never be the president of the global empire.
See, this is Nick Fuentes, man. This is who he is. He enjoys people suffering. He enjoys it, takes solace in it, thinks about it when he's going to sleep at night. I mean, Fuentes has been turning on Donald Trump for a while now. Just listen to this one. This is mid-March 2025.
Erica, shut up. I'm so, this kind of stuff was cute 10 years ago.
But him acting like Donald Trump.
It's not cute anymore. It's just stale. This little routine, this little act he does, it's really just insulting to our intelligence at this point.
Tell me about it.
It was kind of kitschy and cute and a little funny in 2015, a decade ago. But now that he keeps doing this like obnoxious fucking bullshit, whatever this routine that he's doing is, I can't tell you how sick of it I am. I'm watching him today selling Teslas in front of the White House, and he says, I'm gonna get in one of these suckers. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Thank you. Somebody said it.
I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of this weird fucking voice he's always doing, this weird jokey joke fucking gimmick. It's just stupid. It's just stupid and embarrassing and just fucking dumb. And I can't tell you how annoying it is now. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Maybe you guys still think it's funny. I've been on the Trump train for 10 years, and it's like, I can't take it anymore. I feel like I'm going crazy. It's just like a bad... It's like a bad sitcom. It's like an insufferable sitcom character that does a funny gag, and they just keep going every season, and it gets more hammed up. It's like Jar Jar Binks. Trump has turned into like Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my God, yes, dude. I covered this a while back, and I pointed out that he's so right about Jar Jar Binks being so fucking annoying. And I got reamed hard. People did not appreciate that take of mine that Jar Jar is annoying. People say he's like their favorite character, apparently, so that's interesting. He thinks he can he thinks he can control women when women can just refuse to entertain the MGTOW crowd and or get rid of their uterus. Real Pumpkin J, yeah. Well, Nick Fuentes can't control women no matter what, even if he wanted to, because he's been single his entire life. He is an incel, self-described king of the incels. I'm pretty confident that he's gay and he can't like deal with that emotionally. So I'm not, being facetious. I really think that Nick's face is enough to ruin your day. I know. Tell me about it. Anyway, Fuentes is just a disgusting human being. Honestly, I don't know how else to frame that. He's just a horrific monster. And he has a friend named Laura Loomer. Actually, I'm not sure if they're friends now or if they hate each other. There's like a lot of catfighting in the Nazi community, weirdly. Anyway, I'm not sure if they hate each other, but they have very, very similar views to each other. So, yeah, I'm going to be talking about Laura Loomer next or very, very soon. So keep a lookout for it. Tell me what you think about Nick Fuentes here. I think he is absolutely disgusting and vile. And I'm taking it as a good sign that a large subset of Trump supporters don't like what Trump's doing right now. And you know what? You know what else? You know that fundraiser that woman had, the woman that said the N-word to that 5-year-old kid or whatever? She got like $1 million almost for calling a kid the N-word and no other reason. People who are donating to her had the name like Reinhard Heydrich, one of the arch criminals of the Holocaust. They were donating in sets of like 6 NIG, spelling out the N-word. Those are the people that are unhappy with what Donald Trump is doing right now because they're Nazis, and Trump is using the pretext of anti-Semitism to crack down on free speech. So all the people donating to Shiloh, N-word lady, if you will, on its surface, that you would think that they're happy with Trump. They're really not. There is an undercurrent of very unhappy people right now. So take that for what you will. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. While ICE is detaining union leaders, while they are running effectively concentration camps so bad that detainees are spelling out SOS from the ground to, planes flying overhead, Donald Trump is renditioning immigrants to concentration camps, but taking in South African immigrants or South African refugees, quote unquote. They claim that South Africans are being mistreated terribly. I mean, white South Africans are being mistreated terribly. Here's the thing about South Africa, something that I didn't know until I started looking into this heavily. There are a lot of claims of white genocide there and everything. They're completely baseless. They are without merit in any way, shape, or form. It's trash. The reason that they're talking about white genocide is because they are true white supremacists in South Africa, full extreme white supremacist nutcases. If you don't know the history of it, Britain colonized South Africa, and there's a group of people, they've been there for a long time, hundreds of years, I think. The initial Dutch East India Company settlement was in 1652, but the British took control of the Cape Colony, because it's called Cape Town, that's the city there and everything, in 1795. Returned it to the Dutch in 1802, finally secured it in 1806. So it's been hundreds of years that it's been in, white hands, if you will. And the people there, the white people there, they call themselves Boers, B-O-E-R. Boers are basically KKK members. They basically a small subset of the population, say 8%, I think, are white there, and they showed up to subjugate the other 92% in slavery. Nelson Mandela was a civil rights activist in South Africa and was fighting for an end to apartheid. That's where apartheid happened, was South Africa. By the way, if you want to just keep listening, because I'm going to talk about that guy that wrote the book, Donald John Trump, the Son of Man, the Christ. He's from South Africa. We're going to touch on that in a minute, so just keep listening. Anyway, apartheid is basically where the filthy, rich white people controlled everything, and the dirt poor black people were effectively slaves in all but name in most cases, but I think they had full-blown slavery there too for a while. Anyway, Nelson Mandela was an activist to make things more fair and equal and got put in prison by the Boers in the 80s, I think. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they basically had a funeral for him, even though he wasn't actually dead. In the 80s, they did this because they wanted his influence to be gone. So they pretended he was dead. Well, he got out of prison. A lot changed in the 90s, the early 90s, the late 80s, because the Soviet Union fell, and there's just a lot of political change that happened around that time. So he gets out of prison and he starts running for office and, gaining attention and stuff. And that's where the that's where the Mandela effect comes from. People thought he was dead. And tons and tons of people were convinced that he was dead. It's because they faked his funeral forever ago. That one isn't that surprising. Anyway, he comes to power as a civil rights leader and is world renowned even today, but reviled by white South Africans. Like, they hate the guy. Nelson Mandela basically inspires people to write a new constitution for South Africa, one that was fair. And constitutions are hard to write, especially to write well. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg famously basically signed off on the Constitution. They didn't get her permission, but they just got her approval on the Constitution that they wrote, the new one, before she died. It was a lot more fair. Since white Boers couldn't control things to the degree that they wanted to anymore, they had to start making shit up, like claims of white genocide, claims that white farmers are being attacked uniquely, and that they're under threat of all this other stupid shit. It's nonsense. It was all nonsense all along. And the guy that wrote Donald J. Trump, the Son of Man, the Christ, that book, is a Boer from South Africa. This book right here, President Donald J. Trump, the Son of Man, the Christ, written by Helgard Muller. I did a whole series on this guy, because I read this book on air. It's on my Telltale Reads YouTube channel. I haven't uploaded to that in forever, but if you want to listen to the whole breakdown, it's on there. If you're curious, let's just watch like a second or two of what this guy has to say about Donald Trump and how fantastic he is. It's wild, dude.
President Trump, I wrote this book about you. The Son of Man, the Christ. You are the Christ.
Are you hearing this soft, quiet music in the background? Oh my God, it's so bad. The guy is completely off his rocker. Oh yeah, and something else to know about this dude, he lost both of his legs in a boating accident, I think. His legs got cut off, and he has prosthetics. And he's still mobile, he gets around.
You are the King of Kings. There is absolute no one like you. No one. They hate you. Who doesn't love you? But we love you because we know you are the Christ. You are the anointed one.
I know people thought this was a troll, this book. It was not. It was not a troll. This guy's 100% real. It is so insanely disturbing.
You will be seen on the right hand of God, whereas Jesus will only sit on the Father's throne. Jesus, the Son of God, is only the King of the Jews, whereas you, Mr. Trump, you are the King of Kings.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Jesus, dude. Just a little bit of context on how this is supposed to work. In the Old Testament, it talks about the Son of Man. The Son of Man is the prophet that's supposed to come along and like spark Armageddon and like become a cosmic judge and, you know, all that other stuff. That's the Son of Man. And people believe that Jesus is the Son of Man, but he died before becoming that cosmic judge. So they said he'll come back and he'll fulfill that role. That's why Jesus has to return, to become the Son of Man. So this guy believes Donald Trump is fulfilling the role of Son of Man. Jesus is the Son of God, come to deliver the message, and Trump is the Son of Man, the prophet, the anointed one that's going to spark Armageddon and become a cosmic judge. And there's like a whole underlying infrastructure behind this too, like a theology about how Donald Trump is actually Jewish and like America is New Israel and a bunch of other stuff we don't have time to get into, but that's the theology.
The Lord of Lords. They say unto me, because I proclaim you as the Christ.
So he's given himself a special role in this whole scenario as well as the one who proclaims, the witness that like announces his coming or whatever other stupid shit. God, it's so delusional. Anyway, this woman is going to explain to us like the situation in South Africa and why the United States is taking in refugees and why it's not just absurd, but like deeply fucking racist for them to be doing this. Listen to this.
This is for the Americans. If you're not an American, feel free to watch, but please try and get it to the Americans. My name is Bianca van Wyk, born in South Africa, live in South Africa. Today you will be welcoming the so-called white Afrikaans refugees. They are
Afrikaans, Afriakans, I believe. Afrikaans. That's a language, too. Apparently, they have a language. It's very similar to English, but it's like a mix of English and Dutch, I think.
are there based on an offer made to them, which I must say was informed by disinformation about South Africa. Now, I've seen a lot of takes on who Americans think they are receiving. Okay, you are not getting successful, professional, white, middle class South Africans that are fleeing South Africa. The people you are getting are the people that believe that there is discrimination against them based on their race.
You know, there's a distinction between Nazis and KKK. Nazis got a lot of like their race laws from the KKK, but they are kind of a distinct ideology in that like they're different people groups. They were inspired by different problems and different societies and cultural issues and all of that. For all intents and purposes, modern day KKK are Nazis. There is no fundamental difference between them, but I don't think that the real difference, I suppose, is I don't think that the Boers focus much on anti-Jewish sentiment. I'm not sure. They focus heavily on anti-black sentiment. So they're more like the Ku Klux Klan. That is who the United States is bringing in now.
That there is discrimination against them based on their race. Keep in mind, we live in the most unequal country in the world. We have, for instance, 70% of agricultural land and agricultural holdings are owned by white South Africans. 62 to 68% of top leadership positions in corporate are filled by white males. There is a huge salary disparity between white South Africans and the rest of the population.
It doesn't surprise me, considering the fact that South Africa just got a constitution, like, just recently, that protected people generally. Like, that protected everybody. That they ended apartheid, like, just 30 years ago or something. It was illegal to be in an interracial relationship or have a child, an interracial child. Trevor Noah was born in South Africa, and he's half black, half white, and he wrote a book called Born a Crime. You'll go to fucking prison if you have a child as a white person with a black person, or vice versa. It's basically like if the KKK got what they wanted and like created a country specifically designed to be exactly what the KKK wants. That's what it's like.
And there are a number of other indicators which shows you that this story of discrimination based on race is false. Another thing that I wanted to say is that you will get certain so-called refugees that have experienced crime. However, in South Africa, no one is exempt. These people that you are welcoming,
I think there are like 54 people or something that are being welcomed as refugees of political violence against them by the United States. It's just, God, it's so fucking disgusting, dude, honestly. These people are the perpetrators. These people are the ones that are causing problems for everybody. And it's just like really vile. They're the ones that are like exacerbating racism and hate. There is no excuse for what's happening in the United States right now. It's just disgusting.
Assume because they're white, they should not experience crime. The people most affected by crime in South Africa happen to be black people that live in poverty. So as you open your doors and welcome people, and you're going to get a lot of information and disinformation from these people, please do keep that in mind. Oh, I also would like to say all the best and good luck to the Americans.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I think we're a little past luck at this point. Anyway, that's the situation with the Boers, the South Africans. While Donald Trump is renditioning like South American refugees when he's sending them to concentration camps in El Salvador,
we are accepting supposed white genocide victims. And the refugees, quote unquote, that are claiming white genocide over there are making this black and white and completely ignoring any nuance whatsoever and turning it into a black versus white thing. That's what's happening. This is an important issue to understand, I came to find, because Candace Owens talks about white genocide all the time. When people talk about white genocide, they're referring to South Africa. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. But it's a faraway land that we don't understand their political structure, so naturally it must be true. And we just take a quick glance at this article. This is on NBC. American officials welcomed a group of 59 white South Africans at Washington Dulles International Airport on Monday afternoon in a ceremony greeting them as refugees under the argument that they are fleeing discrimination and racially based violence in their home country. Like the woman said, they're not the only ones experiencing violence. Everybody is experiencing violence. You are, however, the only group that controls the top 8% of the economy and, you know, has all of this shit. It's just a joke, man. And I wonder, I don't know, I have to wonder, are these people, the ones that are supposed refugees, are they filthy fucking rich? Are they actually destitute and mistreated, or are they some of the richest people in the country? I'm not sure. I couldn't even guess. The newly arrived people are from the ethnic minority of Afrikaners, the group of whites who ruled South Africa during apartheid. The dozens that came Monday, including families with young children, arrived via a flight chartered by the State Department. Their resettlement in the U.S. comes as the Trump administration has shut down refugee admissions from almost all other countries, including Afghanistan, Sudan, the Republic of Congo, and Myanmar. And you know what else? Again, I don't believe that these people, that anybody should be targeted with political violence, full stop. They shouldn't. But this isn't a racist attack. It's not that they're white. They could have been purple, and it wouldn't have mattered. They still would have been targeted for this. It's not about being white or black. It's about being an oppressor in this situation, like a slave owner, effectively. The dozens that came Monday, including families with young children, arrived via a flight chartered by the State Department. Their resettlement in the U.S. comes as the Trump administration has shut down refugee admissions from almost all other countries, including Afghanistan, Sudan, the Republic of Congo, and Myanmar. And you know what? Let me just show you something. We've got boomers, this boomer dad. I talked about this previously. Listen to what this dude says. He's talking to his father.
Well, do you think people should be able to seek asylum? Because one of these guys was doing that.
You can't seek asylum.
Why?
Because we're not going to be home. You guys are missing the whole point. Policy has changed. We are no longer going to be the home for the dredges of the world.
But don't you?
When they say dredges of the world, it's kind of inherent in that statement that he believes that refugees of any sort are dredges of the world. They are oppressed. They're destitute. They have nothing. They're barely functioning, and they barely made their way here to apply for asylum because of political violence, because of, mass suffering or starvation or whatever. That is refugee status. That's what it is. That's what it's for. And I think it's pretty obvious that we should take care of people around the world. But this guy doesn't, before the South Africans were invited in as refugees, he was anti-refugee completely. Is he anti-refugee now? Does this hold true? Of course it doesn't. Because it wasn't about being anti-refugee. It was about being racist. And you know what? I'm not even convinced that this guy, this old boomer, I'm not convinced he is racist. I think what's happening is he's getting talking points from Donald Trump and the Trump administration, Stephen Miller, who is racist, like really f***ing racist, like Nazi. And he just goes with the flow. Whatever they say, he thinks it's, he trusts them because he thinks they're right, and that's just what it is. So in this moment in time, he's saying no more dredges of the world, no more refugees. But now that the South Africans have been invited in, he's going to change his tune. They're genuinely being persecuted. It's not okay. We have to take care of people who are persecuted. It's like these people will believe anything. They will buy anything that Donald Trump tells them, it's an embarrassment. It is a full-blown cult. I'm going to pronounce a German word, so you know the Hitler cult, the Führer cult? It was a full-blown belief system, a full cult. Like, they believed that he was effectively a messiah in the exact same way that they believe that Donald Trump is. It is really fucking wild to watch history repeat this way. About as disturbing as it gets. And while those people are being walked into the country and invited to dinner with Trump, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming. While they're being invited places and interviewed and given the red carpet, given the red carpet treatment, this is happening to other refugees. Woman is literally having a baby ripped from her arms right now by ICE. They're ripping a baby from a mother's arms. And now this is the woman's teenage daughter, I believe. She's holding the kid's rattles still. But the white refugees are given a red carpet treatment.
Oh, they're taking her baby.
What have we become? What have we become as a country? What happened to us? How is this acceptable to literally anybody? The fact is, if people saw what was happening, the vast majority of the country, 80% of the country, if 80% of the country saw what was happening and knew that this is what was going on, I don't believe that they would be okay with this at all. I believe they'd be just as horrified by it as you and I are. Those people aren't paying any attention. They're just living their lives and doing their thing. At best, some of it kind of pierces through their little bubble. Those people don't know about this. They don't know what's happening. But Trump supporters are putting a concerted effort into either not talking about it or talking about it only in a positive light. So 20% of the country, in my personal opinion, would be okay with this if they actually knew what was going on, if they actually saw what was playing out, saw shit like this, a baby literally being ripped from a mother's arms. I think the only people that could possibly be okay with something like this are the most vile, dirty, low-down scumbags on planet Earth. I believe that statistically, Nazi numbers, like to determine how many Nazis there were in the country, historians have gauged it to be around 10 to 15%. I'm not completely convinced that it's as low as 10 to 15. When the Nazis lost and the Allies came in to purge the church rolls of pastors who were like effectively like Christian nationalists is what they wanted to be called. They were called the German Christians eventually. When they came in to purge the Christian nationalists, the Nazi leaders from the churches, it was upwards of 15%. So I believe that it's higher than 15%. I think that people started denying affiliation completely with Hitler, with Nazism, with anything after the war. So gauging it after the war is a little difficult. Also, there were 12 million denouncement records when they found them. 12 million pieces of paper out of like 60 million people or so. 12,500,000, I believe, denouncement records. And there were like 65 million people or somewhere in there. So we're talking 19%. 19%. I'm thinking Nazis made up about 20% of Germany, in my personal opinion. But, you know, take that for what you will. I think that the Pareto principle probably applies here. The Pareto principle is where 80% of the bugs on like Windows 98 were reported by 20% of the population. 20% of the bugs reported by 80% of the population. It's called the 80-20 rule. And it's just a general trend that researchers have found in a lot of shit. 80% of the pea pods hold 20% of the peas. I believe that's where the phrase came from, the Pareto principle. I think 20% of Germany in the 30s were Nazis, 80% were not. I think 20%, give or take, were directly opposed to Nazism, and 80% were not. And the other 60% who were not directly invested in one way or another, in my personal opinion, they probably leaned one way or another, but for the most part were just living their lives and not really paying close attention to anything, that if I had to guess. And I think it's about the same in the United States. That's my point. I believe that 20% of the US is MAGA, 20% is anti-MAGA, and 60% is just along for the ride and open to, like, political persuasion one way or another. So I think if 80% of the country saw what was happening in this, Donald Trump would never get another vote from them, ever, because he's making this happen. It's just piercing that bubble. It's getting it through to them. It's communicating it. And you know that 60% who's paying no attention, really, on the left or the right, they're hearing, oh, wow, refugees came from South Africa because they're being mistreated. Well, we got to take care of people, right? And then they're hearing about people, you know, coming in, like, and committing crimes and shit. They're just hearing pieces of this story. And the pieces that they're being given, everybody could agree with it. Yeah, get criminals out, of course. Yeah, we should be taking care of people if they're being mistreated or oppressed, including white people if they're being subjected to, like, white genocide. It's just the things that they're saying are not true is the problem. It's all lies all the way down, all of it. Anyway, that has kind of been the strategy of the far right, and it's working, unfortunately. We've got to pierce that bubble. We've got to find a way to get through to that 60% who doesn't have anything to do with politics in their everyday life. They're totally uninvolved, who are otherwise just living their lives. We've got to pierce the bubble. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon.
I want to see what, like, Jim Bakker and the, you know, weird little evangelical nutter butters of epic proportions have been up to lately. Check this out.
If they foreclose on this ministry, they will take my house too. So,
Oh boy, yeah. Jim Bakker is in some legal situations, a legal pickle, if you will, and they're about to foreclose on his house, apparently.
I will be in the street.
Well, that won't happen. God's too big for that.
But I don't care. I mean, I've never been in the street, but I've never seen the righteous forsaken or a seed out begging for bread. That's you.
I don't understand what he just said.
Amen.
That's you.
Amen.
God will stand with you if you stand with him.
Amen.
That's why it's important that you obey God. And I need about 1,000 people that will give right now. Some can maybe not give the $1,000, but you can give $100.
That's right.
He wants 1,000 people to give $1,000. Oh my God, dude. Is that $1 million? That is $1 million, right? Because you're taking 1,000, you're adding 3 zeros to it, so that's $1 million. Holy Christ on a cracker, bro. I'm kind of, you know, enjoying this a little bit, as I'm sure that you can tell, because he deserves this. Wait until you hear what he did to deserve what's happening right now. For the government to basically be, God, what's the term? Like, repossessing his house. That's not the term, but, you know, confiscating, seizing his assets. That's it.
The seed
And I
offering.
want you to mail it in right now.
God, dude, it's just shameless. All right, let me show you what he did. Jim Bakker basically got sued into the ground by, I believe it was the FDA, maybe, because during COVID, he claimed to have this solution that would cure people of COVID, this colloidal silver, this silver solution. My mom used to use this when I was little, colloidal silver. He claimed that it would cure COVID.
This influenza that is now circling the globe, you're saying that silver solution would be effective.
Well, let's say it hasn't been tested on this strain of the coronavirus.
Or any strain.
But it's been tested on other strains of the coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Totally eliminate it, kills it. And
It's just complete bullshit. It's just a flat out blatant lie.
deactivates it.
Yeah.
And this is from 2020. This is from mid-February when it was getting real with COVID. Like, things were about to hit the fan. I mean, I think the stock market tanked from COVID February 23rd or something. So this is right around that time, and Jim Bakker is capitalizing on that fear, and it was fucking disgusting and illegal. You cannot claim that you have a product that cures something that it does not cure like that.
Then it boosts your immune system, so then you can support the recovery, because when you kill the virus, then the immune system comes into action to clear it out. So you want a vibrant immune system as well as an ability to deactivate these viruses.
That's so good.
It would be good if it were real in any way. Just vile that these people were taking advantage of people's, like, fear and lack of knowledge. Seriously, what is wrong with him? As to say nothing about his scams that he ran to get people to buy his stupid fucking bonus buckets. You remember those stupid things? Bonus buckets? Telling people to buy bonus buckets and build a fucking coffee table out of them? Do you know why Jim Bakker went to jail originally? Like, he's famous for having gone to jail back in the 90s. He went to jail because he committed wire fraud. He got people to donate to a cause, like feeding sick children or something, and then used the money for something other than sick children. Like, spent it on, a boat or something. I don't even remember what he did with the money. You can't do that. It's wire fraud. He was sentenced to like 15 years. He served 7 of them. He finally got around to appealing all the way up the chain. And at the end of his trial, like the original one, when he was sentenced, the judge basically said, "You are the reason why Christianity looks bad. People like you." And in his appeal, he claimed religious discrimination. The judge discriminated against him. The judge discriminated against him because he's religious, because he's a Christian. And he got out of prison after 7 years. I mean, real fucking vile stuff, dude. And he took advantage of his secretary, I believe, if I remember correctly. He's just like a terrible person. The last person that should be in charge of literally anything. So anyway, he's being sued, I think it's being sued by the FDA, if I remember correctly, because he deceived people. He lied to them. He claimed that this thing would cure them when it does not. That's the problem. Anyway, the dude is like an endless source of entertainment to me, though, honestly, because it's all the stupid that he busts out. Here's a little compilation, I haven't watched this in forever, of him trying to hawk his bonus buckets. When the apocalypse hits, when tribulation is going on and we're waiting for God to snap his finger to rapture us before Armageddon, because that's how he believes the chain of events will play out, you're going to want these bonus buckets. And they're full of meals that you can eat in the apocalypse, which is happening any 5 minutes now.
Dear God. Okay, the soup comes in 6 gallons of this. It weighs almost 50 pounds. I know you don't want to hear this, but I want to tell you, you're going to dream Jim Bakker on TV telling you, get ready. And you're saying, oh my God, why didn't I order something? I'm going to eat some more of this if you're not careful.
Literally eating soup out of 5-gallon buckets with a fucking ladle.
Oh. Oh, good.
He very obviously is not enjoying this, right?
Oh, good. Oh my God.
He's not enjoying it at all. I love this shit, man. He hates it. This is so funny. He can't even fake liking it on TV. Oh, that's funny, man. I love that. He's like choking. That's funny.
Oh my God. You didn't have lunch, right?
That's fucking funny, man.
Wow.
This food
Oh my God, I forgot how fucking funny this is.
This food is so good. It passes the official Mexican test. This is Mexican food that real life Mexicans approve of. You know, this is not gringo food. This is good food, and it is unbelievable. One of the things we've done around here, we stick them under coffee tables and end tables.
Oh my God, dude. This is so shameless. Build your coffee table out of Jim Bakker's bonus buckets.
You just stack them up and then put a cloth over them.
Yeah.
Or get a piece of, cardboard.
Make an entertainment center out of them, right?
Or a piece of plywood, and you make a top, and then you just stack this food. You could have your whole living room with end tables and coffee tables made out of food buckets.
Oh my God, dude. It's so shameless.
Just do it.
Yeah.
This power goes out and there's no trucks running, and the EMP bomb or whatever they're talking about for these last day events.
For the record, I believe that all of the bonus buckets that he sold in this specific event here, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're all bad now. Like, they have a shelf life, even though they're supposed to last for like a really long time. Even MREs, like military MREs, have a shelf life. You can't just eat that like 20 years later. What is the shelf life of an MRE? I think it's 5 years, if I had to guess. What's the shelf life of an MRE? It's up to 5 years, looks like, if it's stored in perfect conditions. If it's stored in hotter conditions, it's closer to like a year, maybe 2, less than 6 months if it's above 100. If it's at 60 degrees, then it's up to 5 years, basically. So, I mean, MREs are specifically designed to deliver the exact amount of nutrients that a person needs to be healthy and exercise and everything else. And also continue to stay good, like not expire for as long as humanly possible. I can't imagine that Jim Bakker's bonus buckets meet that standard. Marketed with a shelf life of up to 30 years, owing to their freeze-dried contents, oxygen absorbers, and nitrogen flushing, some sources even suggest they could last up to 40 years under ideal cool and dry storage conditions. That is not super trustworthy, though. Oh my God, apparently NPR tried his trashy, disgusting apocalypse food. Dude, I'm never going to get tired of seeing this stupid fucking image of Stephen Miller having spray-painted hair. Spray-painted that on his head. That's a different story, though. They tried the creamy potato soup, macaroni elbows, and cheese powder, and the chicken noodle soup. And, of course, we had to test the chocolate pudding for dessert. Save for the pudding, the dishes were extremely salty and had odd, lingering aftertastes. We couldn't agree on which was worse, the thick potato soup that felt like eating wet cement, the strong chemical overtones in the chocolate pudding, or the disturbing radioactive orange of the macaroni and cheese. Oh, that's fascinating. Here's a chef's review. It's awful. It's trash. Greg Lauro, a chef who lives and works in Brooklyn, New York, tells The Salt. In a November video for Sploid, Lauro cooks and taste tests several dishes from Bakker's survivalist bucket. Italian marinara, the potato soup, black bean burgers, stroganoff, and chocolate pudding. They taste, he says, like paper mache, a bathroom at a bar at the end of the night in a college town, and simply one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my life. Wow, dude. Don't hold back. It's crucial not to use anything that can go rancid like animal fats, even though animal fats make a cheaper and more flavorful base. There's just no way that will work. We use a vegetarian base, Davis says. Not all products are vegetarian. Many, like the instant potatoes, have rendered chicken fat. The creamy stroganoff ingredients list a vegetarian beef base, salt, hydrolyzed soy protein, maltodextrin, sugar, cornstarch. Anyway, wow, that's fascinating. It says here, quote, it's off-putting that Bakker's trying to sell this stuff on the taste when it doesn't look or taste like anything he advertises. Oh, I think we could tell from him trying to eat that stuff. In the photos provided on the front of the bucket and online, for example, the soup has a completely different consistency, broth-like, than the solid, chunky mixture Lauro prepared in his video. It's hard to know how popular Bakker's food line has been so far. When the Salts contacted the Jim Bakker Show, a spokesman said the show could not release sales data. Wow. All right, let's keep listening to him try to hawk these disgusting buckets.
This 2-gallon bucket of packs of coffee,
Yes.
you could trade them for whatsoever you want.
That's it.
You could probably get a new car.
The Bible says they're going to eat their arms.
Okay, I don't remember that in the Bible, but all right, maybe.
The Bible says they're going to eat their babies. Then it says they're going to eat their children.
Dude, this fear tactic to get people to buy, like, this is just bottom of the barrel, man.
That's what people do when they get hungry. We have the plan, you know. But the bartering, like the food that we send out, those packets of food are going to be more valuable than gold.
Please.
I want to tell you something. There's coming a day where the gold's not going to be valuable.
He is just, God, it is so underhanded and dirty and slimy, right? Exactly what I would expect from Jim Bakker.
Because if you can't eat it, it's not going to be valuable. I mean, there's certain things. I don't want to be crude, but I'm going to be anyway. I mean, toilet paper is going to be worth a lot of money. And then you have the potatoes, soup, that heavy. And
So, yeah, the chef says that it's nothing like the consistency he shows on the show.
And then we have bananas. We have the chocolate pudding for dessert.
Right.
We use it for, we bake cakes. We got enough stuff to bake a cake now. And the bread, you can just put this on your bread. The bread is so sweet. You can add a little more sugar to that bread, and you got cake. You got a morning cake, I'll tell you that, a coffee cake. And you put that chocolate on top. You can have parties when the world's coming apart.
Oh, please, dude. It's so dirty.
Come on, people, and get the junk, de-junk your house. Are you hearing me at all? Oh, yeah.
And get up and dance a little.
Wow. I love summertime. I've got burgers made of beans. They're never fried.
Oh, my God. This is bad.
Saba chips and salsa.
Dude's literally singing about food. It's so fucking bad.
To keep me warm way deep inside. Oh yeah, I guess you'd say, Jim and Lori, help me be prepared today.
Oh my God, it's so fucking bad, dude. Oh God, I remember this song. I think it's called My Girl. I listened to it like on a cassette tape in the 80s. No, in the 90s, but it was from the 80s because I was born in 89. Wow, this is bad.
Day for end times. I'm talking about end times. Oh, I've got powdered food for a stormy day. Beets and spinach and blueberry and strawberries. Filtered water from Seychelles to take the poisons away.
To take the poisons away?
I like that too much. I guess you'd say, Jim and Lori, help me be prepared today for end times. Oh, these end times, end times.
I'm just horrified by literally all of this. This is so bad, dude. Oh, God. Who the f*** is this? Is this the original singer? Oh, my God. It's so terrible. But it's so entertaining at the same time. Wait, songs from 1964. Okay, My Girl by the Temptations. Okay, I didn't know that. Wow. That is bad, man. That is bad. Dude is shameless. He will hawk anything. He will say or do anything to get $1. It is just disgusting, honestly. And now I guess he's losing his house. I mean, you know, if you're not Donald Trump, that's what happens when you're a scumbag. You lose because people sue you because you're a piece of and they don't want to be associated with that. He's asking for $1,000 donations.
And I need about 1,000 people that will give right now. Some can maybe not give the $1,000, but you can give $100.
That's right. The seed
And
offering.
I want you to mail it in right now.
Jesus, dude. And it's like when I went to Mike Lindell's website to donate. I'm just looking, you know. I'm not going to donate, don't worry. He had the lowest option was $250. You can donate $250. He doesn't want less than that. How presumptuous. Like, oh my God, dude. Just, God. Everything about this guy screams scam. How is he still in business? I don't understand. Who are the suckers that is still going to his website and buying these stupid fucking bonus buckets? Honestly. You know what? Let's find out. Let's take a look at his website. Jim Bakker, food buckets. What? Do they not sell food buckets anymore? What the fuck's going on with their website? It's all messed up. Bucket, search store. Yeah, their website is just fucked. What else do they sell? Do they sell silver? No? Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on with his website, but pretty much everything he sells here is trash. Don't buy it. It's just, God, it's so entertaining to watch this ridiculous. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. This is Robin Bullock on screen here. He is a, you can't get a good look at him. This is what he looks like. He is a, God, how do I describe him? He's a preacher, a televangelist, megachurch pastor or whatever, and a Trump theologist, like believes in the Trump religion. And he just prayed with the co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party, Bernadette Smith. They get really big, influential people on this show, and he prays for them. I mean, it's wild how famous some of these people are and how influential. Listen to this.
So I want Sister Bernadette. People don't know. I want you to tell your office so that everyone understands what you're about to do.
Yes. So I am the co-chair for the Michigan Republican Party. So I'm in charge of the entire state of Michigan as far as co-chair. So God has given me that authority and that mantle to speak to that state in the name of Jesus. And I'll say to you, precious one, remember what the Lord said to me. He said, you bring who you are in that office. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to bring who you are into the political arena. So we take, and you, Amber, because God is elevating you into that arena. Like the Holy Ghost said yesterday. You'll speak to nations, you'll speak to governors, you'll speak to ambassadors, you'll speak to kings and queens. Because God has anointed you, and he has appointed you in this office.
God, it is so wild to me that these people like live in this mindset where if they are successful, if they have some kind of influence of any sort, it means that they're doing the right thing. Just wait. You think that they're crazy now? Just give it a second.
In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus.
Speaking in tongues. Wow.
And that's Selemeki. Gonamonsekima Selemeki Dosana. Etoko Sokoba di Sarabande.
Yeah, anyway, let me just give you a little bit of background on this guy. Some of the crazy things that he's said. Oh my God. One of the most entertaining clips that I have about this guy is him explaining how Donald Trump would win the election in 2020. He said he was anointed to win it. It was a full-blown prophecy. And I have like a big list of failed prophecies of this dude. I download all of the clips that I cover on my shows, and I put them in like a giant clip collection, owenmorgan.com/clips, if you want to look at all of them. Let's just scroll through them. And I label the ones with prophecies as prophecy. And I always love going back and looking at what they said. So Bullock claims that Trump is going to win the 2020 election. Trump loses the election, and Bullock tries to come up with an excuse for why he was wrong. And his answer is, it's because Trump didn't really want it. If he really wanted it, then he would have taken it.
The stage is set. Everything is set.
Now, this is early March 2021. it's leading into a big QAnon conspiracy moment when they believed that a whole bunch of crazy stuff is going to happen. I'll explain in a minute.
But you're going to have to pray for the rightful president, whether he wants to walk back into this or not. You must pray that he wants to do it, because God won't make him do anything. Is it his will? Yes. Is he the president? Yes. That's why he could just walk right back in. And God will supernaturally move things out of the way. But you need to pray for encouragement. Nobody was beat on like that, like our president, for 4 years. Nobody.
Nobody? I mean, I can think of a couple people that probably had it a little worse than Donald Trump, but okay.
David could have said at any time, I don't want to do this no more. I think I'll just stay in the wilderness.
So he's saying basically Donald Trump has been anointed by God to take the presidency in 2020, and Trump chose not to take it, or he would have won, basically. And after Biden won, Trump could have Trump could have walked in and sat down at the desk, and God would have supernaturally pushed things out of the way, right? That was the whole prophecy. Leading up to this is early March 2021. There is a QAnon conspiracy theory. This is how I know that these people follow QAnon, if no other way. I mean, they've talked about QAnon anyway, but this is how, if no other reason. There's a QAnon conspiracy about how after the Civil War, when the United States rejoined with the Confederate States, they didn't rejoin into the United States of America. They rejoined into the corporation of the United States of America. Like, they officially rejoined as like an incorporated entity or whatever, rather than a government, which, I mean, you realize that we're the ones that like define all of this stuff, right? This isn't like a spiritual state. Like, you're not a country if you're in a spiritual state. Anyway, they say that since the country hasn't, since it rejoined into a corporation after the Civil War, we've only really had like 17 presidents or something. Up to Abraham Lincoln was the last one, or Ulysses S. Grant or whoever. And all of the rest of the presidents have just been like basically like CEOs under the corporation of the United States. And Donald Trump is about to be the first US president in like 150 years. And here's how it's going to work. Everything that was done to the Constitution after like 1865, after the Civil War, is null and void because it wasn't done by the U.S. government. It was done by the corporation of the United States. And one of the amendments or one of the changes or whatever to the Constitution was to change the inauguration date from March 4th to January 20th. So they believed that Trump was going to secretly be inaugurated as the president in 2021 by the military in a secret military meeting where he would be chosen as the new president March 4th, and he was going to walk in and he's going to sit down at the desk and all of that other stupid stuff, right? That was the conspiracy. That's why he was putting this out on March 4th. He was telling people to pray that Donald Trump just choose to take control of the government because of this ridiculous QAnon conspiracy. And when he was wrong consistently over and over and over again, we got gems like this.
Apologize. Go ahead and apologize. Well, no! How about that? Just so you can hear me again. No! Because you are wrong. If this had no meaning to it and no prophet standing speaking today was, if they were all wrong.
What was with the little cough there?
Why don't it go away?
It's so stupid, dude.
How come it hasn't ever faded away?
Because you won't stop talking about it. Oh my God.
How come it's still a fight?
It's literally not. Biden was in the presidency, okay? He was in the Oval Office. Trump moved all of his shit out. How much more obvious can it possibly be?
Over that election. If it was wrong and it wasn't true, then why are we still debating all of this? Folks, it would have already passed. You keep your doctrines. You keep your doctrines, but I'll tell you what, you are going to answer for trying to regulate the Lord's prophets.
Okay. By the way, not for nothing, but what's he doing with these books here? Okay, so he picks up his Bible and sets it back down, don't know why. Picks up his little black book, sets it on the Bible. Picks up the Bible and the black books and sets them down again. Picks them up, sets them down again. What is happening? Picks them up, sets them down again. Why? Why? What was that all about?
You keep your doctrines, but I'll tell you what, you are going to answer for trying to regulate the Lord's prophets. You with your big educations, you're going to answer for trying to regulate a prophet of the Lord.
It is so god-fucking stupid. I don't know what to do with it. I love this though, man. This is so entertaining to me to watch these people give us false prophecy after false prophecy after false prophecy and blame you for it. Say you were in the wrong. You f***ed up. And you're going to pay for pointing out that Robin Bullock was f***ing wrong. Oh my God, dude. I love this to death. It is so entertaining. You and your big educations.
And telling a prophet of the Lord that what God said is not true, but what you said is true.
That's not what I said. I said what you said wasn't true. You know, a religious... what I believe to be is a religious extremist covered Robin Bullock a while back on his YouTube channel and criticized Robin Bullock because he was wrong in 2020. He claimed Trump would win. He didn't win. He was wrong. And the guy pointed out that there are two people in the prophet relationship. There's God giving the message to the prophet, and there's the prophet conveying the message to the people. Two people in the connection and two people in the relationship. If you get a prophecy wrong, somebody lied. Was it you who lied, or was it God that lied? And not only that, but it's consistent. Lie after lie after lie.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble now.
Yeah, totally, I bet. Yeah, and here's him justifying being wrong about the 2020 election again.
There's some things that we've given in prophetic word that I've said that absolutely there's no way you could have made it up.
Okay.
They come to pass and it's all recorded. Do you think that, and prophecies other prophets have given that are astounding, that you just look at it and say, you can't make this stuff up?
Well, you can make it up, and you did, obviously. I've been watching these prophets for many, many years now. I have clips that go back 5 years, and that's not even talking about, and that's not even mentioning the clips that I didn't collect before I started collecting clips. There is not one single prophecy that he has ever delivered that was convincing to me in any way, shape, or form. Do you know what it would take to convince me that it was a prophecy? It would have to be a very specific claim, not something that could go 50-50. Trump's going to win the election. Biden's going to win the election. That was a 50-50 shot, basically. Even 40-60 shot is really stretching it for the election, but that's not stretching it for a guess. It would have to be something that's like 1 in a million. Like, you tell me that there's going to be a guy, and his name's going to be Jeff, and he's going to own a house, and it's going to be a 3-story ranch. It'll be in this neighborhood, in this city, in this state, and it's not going to be constructed for 20 years. And when that time comes in 20 years, you got to get the date real specific. 20 years, 3 months, and 5 days. When that day comes, Jeff is going to tell you that Yahweh is the one true God and that, like, you know, Jesus loves you and all of that other. You tell me something that specific and it comes true to a T. I'm going to want to make sure that you, like, didn't gain access to, like, either time travel ability or aliens or something, but I'm definitely much more willing to accept the possibility that you're a prophet if it gets that specific and accurate. That's not what you're giving us. He has given us consistently nothing but guesses at best. And half the guesses aren't even accurate. And they're pretty fucking big guesses, too, like Trump's going to win the election in 2020. So, no, you haven't given us any prophecies that have meant literally anything at all. None of the things that this dude has said have been convincing to any degree.
Prophets have given that are astounding, that you just look at it and say, you can't make this stuff up.
Well, you can. You can, obviously. And he does.
Do you think they would hit it on everything like that?
Well, that's the thing. They don't.
And miss who won the election? Folks, that's stupid.
You hear that, folks? You're stupid. That's stupid of you. God, he's such a joke of a human being, dude. But I'll be damned if I'm not, like, entertained as hell by this guy, honestly. Let's just watch, like, one more clip from the dude because I'm so deeply entertained by his stupidity. Listen to this one. This one is from 2021. It's early December.
Joe Biden, the fool that sits in the White House right now.
So this is a year after Biden was inaugurated, almost. And if you remember, from 2016 to 2020, all we heard about from these people was how important it is to respect the office of the president. It's such a respectable post. It's chosen by God. It's so important. You need to love him, and you need to pray for him and support him, and all. You remember all that they said? All right, now let's start. One more time, Robin. Say again.
Joe Biden, the fool that sits in the White House right now, if he's in the real White House at all.
What does that? You think that they made like a hologram of the White House or something? You think that, you know, what, he lives in virtual reality? What the f*** do you mean by that?
On his campaign podium had a sign on the front of it. This
had a what?
Said battle for the soul of America. They knew what they were doing.
What were they doing? I don't understand. Give me more. What? Said battle for the soul of America. What?
They're trading your souls. Your souls.
Yeah, you said that. I didn't understand the first fucking time.
And so they tested it.
Who is they?
And then they give people a shot, a vaccine. Whoever, and the Lord had given me a prophetic word. The shot heard around the world.
Okay, well, that's a saying, and it relates to guns. I'm not sure what the hell you're talking about. I'm so fucking lost right now. What are you going on about, Robin? In all seriousness, I guess what he's saying is he's trying to connect dots, right? I have this thing. I'm going somewhere with this story. Give me a second. I have this thing where I make up a saying, and I say it, and people try to connect dots and make sense of it. So I'll say, you're worried over a hill of bananas. It's completely meaningless. It's just a random phrase that means absolutely nothing. But when you hear it, your mind tries to make sense of it. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I guess you could eat your way through. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. Maybe I could sell some of the bananas, you know? You're trying to piece together some kind of meaning when there is no meaning to piece together. That's what's happening with Robin Bullock. That's what's happened all along. Okay, he says the shot heard around the world. So? What does that have to do with literally anything at all? You're talking about a gunshot? And isn't that in reference to World War I? Or am I mistaken? Where Franz Ferdinand was shot and it affected a whole bunch of... I don't understand what he is going on about, what any of this means. That being said, I understand that he seems to think that Biden was battling for the souls of people in America or whatever, like he's a demon trying to gobble them up or whatever. But in all seriousness, people are fucking scumbags today, dude. That's one of the ill effects, the most prominent ill effects of Donald Trump taking the presidency. If he did nothing else, he enabled and encouraged people to be bottom of the barrel fucking scumbags, just bad people, and to revel in it, to be proud of it. That's what the phrase meant. Biden was trying to battle for people's souls to not be lost to complete scumbags. Like, it seems to me that God doesn't want his people to be fucking scumbags, right? Like this is right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. We're going to watch it in a second. Just keep in mind what I said, and we're going to finish this first.
You think that was the shot? I don't know, but it sure fits for now, don't it? Then suddenly they come and stick a needle in somebody's arm. And they start pumping you full of God knows what.
Well, I do know what. A vaccine. It's been around for like 100 years, you know? Vaccines. Ever heard of them? Prevent illness?
Start shooting things inside the human body that the human body was never created to live with.
Oh, God, dude, it's so stupid. The human body was never made to live with deactivated viruses so that your immune system can learn from the deactivated virus and create antibodies to protect against it. I don't understand.
I'm convinced that's why all the DNA tests went skyrocketed over the world.
What? DNA tests skyrocket? First I'm hearing of it.
Test went skyrocketed over the world 5 years or so before, 10 before this happened.
What are you talking about? DNA tests skyrocketed? Who the f- told you that? And I'm still not sure, like, what that has to do with anything. This is one of those, it's just a hill of bananas things. It, like, your mind is trying to make sense of it. It's stretching so hard. It's almost there, but it's just complete nonsense. It was always complete nonsense. It will always be nonsense.
Why? Because the souls of men were getting ready to be traded. Biden said, when Trump said, was talking in the debate, then Biden looked at him and said, man, it's not going to be a good time. It's going to be a dark winter.
The f*** is he talking about?
That was a code word in 2001 for biological chemical warfare, where they tested what it would happen in this earth if an agent in chemical warfare was released.
Okay, the word or the term dark winter was a code word for something like years before the COVID pandemic happened. You're saying that Biden knew it was going to happen and he used a code word? Why would he do that? I don't understand. Like, what would the purpose be? Just hypothetically, follow me to the end here. Say, I suppose Biden knew there was going to be a pandemic and he was the cause of it or whatever. Why would he say anything that would imply that this was going to happen? Is this like a demon thing where they have to say what they're going to do or whatever? I'm just so lost. All right, yeah, let's continue. We're almost done here with this.
That was the code word.
What was the code word? Dark winter?
How you know that, brother? How you know that?
God told you, right?
I got my ways.
God told him.
And I'm convinced that's what all those DNA tests were about.
What fucking DNA tests?
People say, well, you can't prove that. Maybe not, but you can't prove that it wasn't.
It is so fucking stupid, dude. I don't even know what to do with it. He says you can't prove that the DNA tests weren't what? The precursor or whatever, or the lead up to the pandemic? I'm just so fucking lost. Oh my God, every word out of his mouth makes me more and more confused. And people listen to the dude. Like, the Michigan Republican Party co-chair goes to his church, listens to him, preaches with him. What? Anyway, a minute ago I said that Trump enabled just vile scumbags to come out of the closet as the vile scumbags that they are. This is Lily Gaddis, and I call her the original N-word girl because she originally got famous for for saying the N-word. She said the N-word on air, loud and proud, did it intentionally, and then afterward got on there and said, I couldn't possibly care less that you guys don't like it. And she said it again, multiple times. Scumbag, right? And she goes on Piers Morgan to defend that one woman, Shyla Hendricks, who called that 5-year-old the N-word. Remember? She went on there to defend her on Piers Morgan. Donald Trump becoming president made people comfortable with saying and doing shit like this.
Why would you want to support a white racist?
Because I want to support free speech, and you cannot have free speech in a country.
Yeah, that's fine. You can support free speech, but you also have to be accountable for what you say. Would you use the N-word?
Yeah, she shouldn't go to jail, Shiloh Hendricks, just for, like, using speech that people don't like. But she should absolutely lose fucking everything. People shouldn't be obligated to continue to associate with her. If her friends don't want anything to do with her, they shouldn't have to have anything to do with her. If her job doesn't want to be associated with somebody that says the N-word to 5-year-olds, they shouldn't have to be associated with that, right? That's free speech. I'm using my free speech to not deal with her. She's not being sent to jail.
Interest?
Yes.
You would?
Hmm?
Yes, she would. Yeah, she said the N-word, of course. Piers Morgan just didn't realize that, probably.
I do, quite frequently.
You use the N-word quite frequently. Well, why? Other than the fact you're a despicable racist. Are you?
Well, you don't need to ask that. The answer is yes. And look, she's got a panel of black dudes on here.
Some would say I am. I guess according to the ADL, I'm a white supremacist. I'm a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, well, if you use the N-word repeatedly, you are a racist, then, are you? Are you?
Sure, I'll embrace that. If that means forwarding, helping white people achieve freedom of speech, real freedom of speech, which, by the way, Shiloh Hendricks is being attacked on all fronts. They're trying to bring legal charges against her. They're trying to get her children taken away.
I don't know about the legal charges. I haven't heard anything about it. She has not been charged, to my knowledge, and I'm willing to have my mind changed, but I don't think she should be charged anyway for just using speech. But she was maybe assault. Assault is making somebody feel like they're under threat. Battery is actually attacking them. So maybe assaulting a 5-year-old, I could see, making him feel threatened and stuff. I could see that, I suppose. But again, no one's even talking about charging her as far as I know.
So you were saying Carmelo Anthony, it doesn't matter. That's a different
Sorry, but just to be
thing.
clear, you just said to me you use the N-word regularly.
Yeah, she does, of course. I have tons of videos of her using it.
In what context? Do you use it with black people?
She uses it all the time for whatever.
Yes, if it's appropriate.
What? God. If it's appropriate to use the N-word with a black person, oh my God, dude. Point is, Donald Trump winning the presidency has enabled the biggest scumbags on planet Earth to come out and be loud and proud about the scumbaggery that they like to engage in. That's the issue. And Robin Bullock voted for that, prophesied about that. This is what he voted in right here, this woman, and people like her. Good job, Robin. Hope you're happy with yourself. He seems to be. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just file, man. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. There's this woman named Laura Loomer. She's right here next to Donald Trump. She's kind of turning on the Trump administration right now, surprisingly. It's pretty clear when you stand that close to somebody, got your arm around their waist and everything, you've definitely done things with them, right? I think that's pretty clear. For what it's worth, Laura Loomer is a neo-Nazi. Just a little bit of background on her. And she's also from a Jewish family. She's like ethnically Jewish, religiously Jewish, or whatever. And she hates that about herself and has gone so far as to get like a lot of plastic surgery to change the way that she looks completely, which led to this image right here. I'm pretty confident that this was not altered. I believe that this image is real. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here. And I also can't verify for certain if this is Laura Loomer or maybe I'm wrong. The thing that really ties the video together is a person laughing in the background, right? That's funny. I love that. That is really funny. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if it's Laura Loomer. You tell me if it is. Anyway, Laura Loomer, about who she is and what she did and how she's criticizing Donald Trump. She's shown up to Donald Trump's events, I think in the past 6 months. It was actually very, very recent. No, it was, I believe it was since he became president. Yeah. So it was it was February or March 2025, I believe. And, you know, he's got his arm around her.
She's actually... That's my software. That says Trump 2024. Thank you. Thank you.
And she claims to have an audio recording of her doing things with Donald Trump. I don't know how I can say it any more politely than that, any more monetizer friendly than that.
She was really beautiful before all the plastic surgery. I don't understand why, like, Trump nutcases mutilate their faces like that. Like Kristi Noem, they were not ugly before all the plastic surgery. Why are you doing this? Anyway, let's listen to what she said recently, and we'll get into more of, like, kind of her backstory or whatever. Check this out. She's upset about the Epstein files, fact that they haven't released, and she's blaming Pam Bondi. Not Trump, who's ultimately in charge of this, but Pam Bondi.
Benny Johnson was asking James Comer about the Epstein files and whether or not we could expect to see the Epstein files come out. And, you know, usually you hear all these canned responses from politicians that just go ahead and defend Pam Bondi, right? And they say, oh, you know, Pam Bondi's doing such a great job.
I don't understand why she's making fun of the fact she's blonde. Like, you're trying to blend in with these people just as much as anybody else, right? With all the plastic surgery, like your face half plastic now? Half plastic and the other half is Botox? Ugh, God, don't do it.
You know, it's like, you know, all this circle bullshit. You know, oh yeah, she's so amazing. Oh my God, she's so great. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Yeah, she's not so great. Trust me, guys. She's not really doing such a great job. We were promised that these files were going to be released on day one. Day one promise. Well, what is it now? Over 100 days into the Trump administration?
Yeah, and who made the promise? Who promised that? It was Trump. And you're complaining about Pam Bondi? Why? What's the connection here? She's not the one that ultimately releases them, right? I mean, sure, she's reviewing them or whatever. Trump could say tomorrow, release them, and they'd be out. One of the things I find like most hilarious, like we're going to get back to Laura Loomer in a second, but one of the things I find most hilarious about this whole thing is she's pretending it's Pam Bondi's fault when it's very clearly Trump's fault. And he addresses it plain as day in this video. I believe this came out November 2024.
Some people think that one way to build trust is to declassify things that everyone's talking about. I know you talked earlier about it. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So if you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these. Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you
Yeah, but why didn't you do all of it? Honestly. Whatever. We're not here to talk about that. I'm trying to take credit for something. Like, this is so stupid.
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, that was a little reluctant.
I guess I would.
I guess I would. You were pretty dead set on the other two. Why is it an I guess thing now? Can't we all agree that Epstein bad? No? Can we not?
I would. All right. I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there.
You don't? If they were associated with Epstein, I think we should know that. If Bill Clinton was going to, like, the island, Little St. James or whatever, was that the name of the plane or the island? I don't remember. If he's going there, I want to know. And if he's doing something he shouldn't be doing, I want to know about that. And you know what? Overnight, don't support him anymore. I don't support him anyway. I'm just saying. It doesn't matter who it is. You know why Donald Trump doesn't want those files released about Epstein? Because he's in them. He is all over them. Like, this is obvious information. I thought everybody knew, but I was on Reddit the other day, and somebody said there's no evidence Trump was ever associated with Jeffrey Epstein. What? What the fuck are you talking about? There's a ton of evidence. Jeffrey Epstein said they were best friends for 10 years. There are a ton of pictures of them together out there. Donald Trump has said, yeah, I like Jeffrey. He's a really nice guy. He certainly loves his women, and he likes them on the younger side or something to that effect. How did you miss this? Really? Is it any surprise? Oh, yeah, and then he wishes Ghislaine Maxwell well. He says he hopes that things turn out well for her. She's a fucking groomer. She helped Epstein groom children. Why would you say that? Trump is very, very obviously friends with Epstein, or was, and everybody knows that, and he's going to be all over the Epstein files. That's why they're not releasing. And Laura Loomer is blaming Pam Bondi? Give it a fucking rest.
Because it's a lot of phony stuff with that whole...
A lot of phony stuff, he says, in the Epstein files. Totally. Absolutely.
Because, you know, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because it's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know. But
no, because he's all over the Epstein files. It would destroy trust in Donald Trump.
And that's not what he wants, of course.
Not Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation, and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would.
Oh, please, dude. God, he's such a joke of a human being. Anyway, why is Laura Loomer talking about Pam Bondi again? I'm lost. It's going like right over my head. Explain like I'm a 5-year-old.
Oh, what is it now? Over 100 days into the Trump administration, have we seen any Epstein files? No, we haven't received any Epstein files. Then she goes on Fox News. I mean, honestly, every single day, Pam Bondi is on Fox News. She's
like, I still don't understand why she's calling her Pam Bondi. Is that supposed to be an insult? Is being blonde bad now or something? Whatever. Like, I would have expected her to use like a real slur against somebody. She does that regularly anyway.
on Fox News more than she does her job. And other people are starting to realize it. We have a video clip, and we'll play this after the fact, right? Or maybe we should play this video clip before we play the Comer clip so that you can see all the different statements that have been made by Pam Bondi. I made this video clip compilation probably like 2 months or so ago to highlight all of the discrepancies in Pam Bondi's statements. First, she said that the files were on her desk, right? And then she had that ridiculous Bindergate situation at the White House where she made all these crazy binders that were not even full of Epstein documents.
Yeah, they were blank. Oh my God, I remember this. Wait, was that Pam Bondi? One of Trump's press secretaries, I think, had gigantic binders and notebooks and everything, and they were they were just blank pieces of paper. There's nothing in it. Oh my God. So fucking stupid. All the way down. It is so fucking stupid.
And had these influencers essentially run a state media campaign for her where they waved these binders around, pretending like they were given Epstein files by Pam Bondi. Well, turns out there's really nothing in the binder. Then she goes on Fox News and says, "Oh, the files are on my desk right now." Then she tells Mark Levin that the files are being delivered to my office in a truck. So they were on her desk, but then they weren't on her desk, and then they were delivered to her office in a truck. And then the big bad boogeymen over at the deep state were trying to sabotage her, and they lied to her about the real Epstein documents.
Oh my God, I am so glad that she's starting to realize that the deep state is not real. That it's just a fictitious monster that people like to point at when they something up. But of course, she's, this is, I don't believe that Laura Loomer is an honest person. I think that she is an ends justify the means type of person where whatever it takes to get where you want to be, whatever it takes, it's justified. Lie, cheat, manipulate, steal, whatever. As long as you get Trump elected, as long as you get into Congress, whatever.
Documents. And then they were going to be released at a later date. But now, right, we don't know, because Pam Bondi also came out this last week and said that there's no set deadline for when they're going to release the Epstein files, even though we were told she already released the Epstein files. Remember when she gave out these binders, right? Bindergate. How could we forget Bindergate?
Why are you even complaining about this? Like, a lot of the Epstein stuff is already out. We've known about this stuff for like ever. We have the dude's flight logs. And I think the Trump administration, like when they released the JFK files, I believe that they also released some Epstein stuff, like the Epstein flight logs, but like half the names were redacted. But we didn't need the redacted version because we already had an unredacted version that was public. It is so ridiculously stupid and so transparent. Like, how are you missing this, honestly? Trump is all over those documents. And how do you feel about it knowing that? Are you really okay with Donald Trump being all over those documents? Okay, just like a little bit more history on her if you don't know her. She famously chained herself to Twitter headquarters, I believe, because she was banned from the twit. And as you can see here, she had to have cops come and cut her free so she could use the bathroom. Didn't think that one through, I guess. As you can see, she's wearing a shirt that says freeloomer.com because she was banned from Twitter for being a Nazi and saying Nazi things. This is her expressing her upset over being banned from the twit.
And called me crazy, but what are they doing? I want to know what people are actually going to do. My life is ruined. Does anybody understand how ruined my
I believe she's talking to Alex Jones here. Yeah. So that's Laura Loomer, if you didn't know. And this is the person that's going around claiming to have a video or an audio recording of her doing things, illicit things with Donald Trump. And she got pretty specific about what's on the video. Oh, please let there be a video. I would die to hear that video and just like spread it all over the internet and make it like, go viral. Anyway, one last thing about Loomer. If you didn't know, she famously, in addition to being a Nazi, ran for Congress and lost and cried, literally cried when she lost. Let's just drink up these Nazi tears for a minute. Just like enjoy it.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously.
Yeah, she says that she lost the election because of Facebook or because of Twitter or whatever. She cannot accept when she's just not very popular, can she?
To please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you. I'm never going to...
Oh, God, I just can't get enough of it. I love it to death, man. All of those tears, those weeping tears, just bring it's sustenance to me. Anyway, that's Laura Loomer, and that is just her, her absolute vile nature, and that is her turning on Donald Trump. I love to see it. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Stephen Miller, this vile little homunculus here. Oh my God. I'm sorry, let me start that over. I just remembered the time that he spray painted his hair on. I just have to find that. I forgot about that, dude. Literally spray painted it in a V. Oh my God, dude. Spray painted. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I forgot about this. I need to save this image. Anyway, Stephen Miller, we're here to talk about what a vile human being he has been recently. Listen to what he said here. This is at the White House, right outside of it or somewhere in there. He's talking about habeas corpus.
Hold on, there's a question back there first.
I have two quick questions. First, President Trump
I can't hear it.
has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well,
he's about to answer a question about habeas corpus, I believe, which is, I think, a Latin term that means produce the body. And it was created, I think, in like the 1200s. Or something like that, under the Magna Carta, like this really, really old kind of human rights document that, everybody was promised, no matter what. And we were talking like 800 years ago. And the reason that was added to the Magna Carta was because people had a tendency to just toss people in jail randomly. Just pick them out, throw them in jail, they're never heard from again. Whether they're guilty of anything or whatever is completely irrelevant. And right now, there's still a problem with that in the modern world. Like, I think something crazy, like 50% of the people in Brazil jails or something like that have not gone to trial. Are sitting there without a trial. So habeas corpus is built into our Constitution, and it is a guarantee that if we are detained or arrested or whatever, we have a right to a trial, a hearing, to determine if we are the right person. It's due process, habeas corpus. And Stephen Miller, literal Nazi, like actually Nazi, like somebody who believes, in white supremacy and white pride and all that. Like he'd be walking around with a KKK outfit if we were around 100 years ago. That kind of person. He's going to argue against due process, against habeas corpus, because he wants to just throw people in jail. Randomly, no trial, no nothing.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at.
But we're not being invaded. And also, that shouldn't be in there anyway, in my personal opinion. You should always be entitled to a hearing, period. Not instantaneously, but within 10 days, say. You should be given a hearing to determine if you really are who you say you are. This guy is coming up with reasons to be able to just throw people in jail randomly that he doesn't like for any reason. That is so disturbing, it's ridiculous.
Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article 3 courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article 3 courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right?
Yeah. That's when a court basically says you cannot deport this guy because he's going through a trial right now and we're figuring it out, or whatever. There are a billion different reasons for protected status.
So, by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination.
So is he saying that, I'm not even sure if what he's saying is true, but let's just assume for a moment, is he saying that there are some edge cases in which the judicial branch does not act as a check on presidential power? That is to say, the judicial branch has no authority over the president or any acts that he does, no matter what, in any situation. He's using one little edge case of something that could happen maybe, and he's saying that this is the rule. Are you kidding me right now? Really? Did that spray paint leak into your fucking brain? What happened? No, he knows what he's doing. Like I said, he's a Nazi. He knows. The judicial branch, their whole purpose is to vote on or to determine the legality of certain things that the president does, that Congress does, that whatever. That is the point. It's called judicial review, and every modern democracy has it, including Israel. They all have judicial review. Well, fun fact for you, it was started officially in the United States, judicial review, where the judiciary reviews laws and executive orders to see if they stand up to the Constitution. And if they don't, then those laws or executive orders aren't allowed to stand. They're nullified by the judicial branch. It was started by a case called Marbury versus Madison. John Marshall was the Supreme Court Justice, the Chief Justice. And the reason I know this story is because Marshall University in West Virginia, in Huntington, is named after John Marshall because he invented judicial review. And it was some stupid case. It was like John Adams was the outgoing president, and to be a dickhead, he appointed a bunch of judges and he put their envelopes or, put their letters on the desk so that the next president would have to mail them. James Madison was the next president, and he entered into office and he said, you know what? He's a dickhead. I'm not going to mail them. I'm just going to sit on these letters, and they're never going to get their judgeships. So one of the people, Marbury, one of the judges that was appointed by John Adams, sued the president, sued James Madison under, I believe, a writ of mandamus, which basically means it's a requirement. You must act. You must turn over the documents. You must move forward with things or whatever. And John Marshall, in his King Solomon wisdom, said, no, we're not going to do that. I'm ruling in favor of the president. And by doing that, though he was wrong in that case, he established the fact that he has authority over what the president does, and he wasn't going to be challenged on it because the president agreed with the decision. Anyway, that's judicial review. That's where it came from. That's how long it's been around, since the very earliest days of democracy in the United States. That's the point. And Stephen Miller and a bunch of these other extremist nutcases, white nationalists, Christian nationalists, Nazis, they're trying to establish something that they call unitary executive theory, which basically says judicial review is invalid. The United States is not built off of that. And we don't have any checks and balances. I'm not even being hyperbolic. This is really what they're saying. This is really what Stephen Miller believes. There are no checks and balances on the president. Zero. He can do literally whatever he wants. And that's how the founding fathers wanted it, or something. That's the argument. It's nonsense. It's dangerous. They're calling for a dictator by doing that.
Or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yeah.
They're not at war with the legislative branch. They are a check on power. They are there to interpret the Constitution and decide if what they're doing is legal. In what universe is that going to war with them? That is literally just doing their fucking job. Let me ask you, what's the point of having the judicial branch then? Why do we have it? Why is it there? What are they supposed to do, if not rule on the constitutionality of something? Stephen Miller is an evil little homunculus. I don't know how else to say it. A homunculus that likes to spray paint his own hair on his head. And you know what? If you're going to spray paint it, why not go all the way? Why did he just spray paint this little spot here in a V? Why didn't he spray paint it like, I don't know, like a bowl cut all the way around or something? I think that'd look way better. Oh, it's so painful and stupid. I mean, this dude is like really, really evil. It's hard to beat Stephen Miller when it comes to like people who are trying to destroy democracy as quickly as possible. He is like you know, some people are motivated by like Christian nationalism. They really want to establish a Christian state, a theocracy in the United States. Some people are motivated by, I don't know, whatever other thing. Stephen Miller's motivated by white supremacy. Like he wants to see a world where there are 0 black people and 0 Jews and 0 anybody that isn't white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant. Nearly as evil as it gets. Listen to this one from Stephen Miller. This is from May 1st, 2025.
Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding.
So he's saying we're going to destroy the education system unless these schools, certainly going to be the poorer schools that are forced into doing this, brainwash children, fully brainwash them, like alter their curriculums to teach about how great Donald Trump is. And I'm not just pulling that out of thin air. That is actually what Ryan Walters, Oklahoma superintendent over all Oklahoma schools, is doing. Writing into the curriculum that teachers must teach in a section, in a unit or whatever in history class, that Trump won the 2020 election. They are brainwashing children.
So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country.
Literally nobody is doing that.
So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous, communist, woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
Absolutely, absolutely psychotic. Not for nothing, but this exact thing happened in Germany. Again, I know I keep coming back to that, but this is identical to what happened in Germany. At the time in Germany, there was like a big split, social split. There were social democrats who are basically like the Democrats today, give or take. The social democrats were actually the in Germany at the time. They were fucking awesome. And they built a really incredible government. The Weimar Republic was awesome. But they were the left-leaning party, and they were the biggest party, and they ran the Weimar Republic for the first half of its existence. It was only in existence for 12 years, from the end of World War I, 1918 or 19, clear through to 1933 when Hitler destroyed it. So 14 years, yeah. Anyway, Social Democrats, the Catholic Center Party was like 7% or something like that. The Nazi Party was actually very, very small. It was a little unknown thing, but the way that they apportioned their representatives was every 60,000 votes, you get one representative in Congress. So like if the Nazi Party nationally gets 240,000 votes, then they get 4 congressmen. Tends to favor extremists, that system does. Anyway, the Nazi Party eventually grew larger and larger. But the point that I'm getting to here is there were a billion little tiny parties, little fractured pieces. And society was fractured in a similar way. People would, go to a social democrat church. They would go to social democrat sewing circles. Their kids would be, social democrat Boy Scouts equivalent. And then you'd have the communists. You'd have the communist Boy Scouts, the communist sewing circles, the communist trash guys. I mean, it was really, really fragmented. And a lot of these circles just kept to themselves. The Hitler Youth, eventually when the Nazi Party started to get popular, they created the Hitler Youth. And it was just like a Boy Scouts program, just like the others, where they would earn merit badges and they would learn to tie knots and, whatever, go fishing and all that stuff. And they do good deeds. As time progressed, as Hitler took over more and more, the Hitler Youth absorbed more and more stuff. There was a Catholic youth group that existed, and eventually part of the agreement the Catholics made with Hitler was to allow them to keep their youth group and control the schools. And Hitler eventually, reneged on that and took their youth group and absorbed it into the Hitler Youth. So anyway, the point is that when countries target children to be brainwashed, it's a bad harbinger. They're going down a bad path, as if we didn't know that already. Here's a prime example of what I'm talking about. This is Flashpoint. It's on Kenneth Copeland's TV network, the Victory Channel.
When we look back on Hitler, Hitler went for the youth. The enemy always goes for the youth.
Dude, yeah. It's so on point, it's ridiculous.
Went for the youth. The enemy always goes for the youth. We must take up arms and go for our youth.
Did you just call yourself the enemy?
Arms of the truth and of godly principles. But
anyway, the enemy always goes for the youth. That's the bottom line here. The enemy always goes for the youth.
For schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology.
Yeah, that was another thing. When Hitler took power, he started demonizing communists like you wouldn't believe. Actually, he didn't start out hating communists. It wasn't until about 1920. I'm reading his biography right now by Ian Kershaw. It wasn't until about 1920 when he was already, embedded in what would eventually be the Nazi Party that he started talking about communists, or Bolsheviks as he called them. In fairness, communists at the time were violent extremists that were Nazis' equals for all intents and purposes. They were not good people at all at that time and place. But, oh yeah, here's another little fun fact for you, slightly off subject, but it's interesting. The Pope before Francis, Pope Benedict, he was in the Hitler Youth. He got into an argument with Richard Dawkins on the twit, and I don't remember what it was. It was over something stupid the Pope was wrong about. I think Richard Dawkins said the Catholic Church cooperated with the Nazis in World War II or something, and that's totally 100% true. They absolutely did. And the Pope, shot back, no, they didn't, and you're an idiot, and so on and so forth. And Richard Dawkins basically said, this coming from one of the Hitler Youth, ouch. He was exonerated after the fact. Every kid was in the Hitler Youth, but anyway. I checked this clip out. This is Stephen Miller again.
millions more that were allowed to either fly into the country or overstay their visas. It is a clear and present danger to the national security of this country. And we have federal judges telling President Trump that he can't deport these threats from our communities.
Nobody said that. Trump has always been allowed to deport people or whatever, but they have to be given due process. We have to make sure that we are actually like deporting the correct person. We have to present it to an objective arbiter who can look at the evidence presented by ICE or whoever the f***, and this objective arbiter can say, okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think this person is a terrorist or a criminal or whatever, and does deserve to be deported. That's how this works. This is how it's worked since day one in the United States. He knows that. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, one more thing. Immigrants are not threats to our communities. He's conflating criminals with regular old immigrant people that flew over here from wherever and are just living here now.
These threats from our communities? This is the choice facing every American. Either we all side and get behind President Trump to remove these terrorists from our communities, or we let a rogue, radical left judiciary shut down the machinery of our national security apparatus. President Trump is going to see this through to his conclusion, and we will find and remove every terrorist from this country, and President Trump will make this nation safer than ever before, and he'll do it over the fighting and opposition of the Democrat Party, over the fighting and opposition of the communist left-wing judges, over the fighting and opposition of the far-left federal bureaucracy. He will not be deterred, Sean. He will see this through, I promise you.
Absolutely fucking psychotic. There's no invasion, there's no danger, there are no terrorists or whatever. And you cannot convince me that he doesn't know that. Some of these people that I cover, I can't tell if they're just dumb as dog or if they're lying. Like, sometimes I can't quite tell with Donald Trump. Is he dumb as dog or what? What's going on? Stephen Miller, lying. Clear as day. Ben Shapiro, lying. Couldn't be clearer for those two people, for example. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it intentionally. They're deceiving people knowingly, in my opinion. Since we're talking about habeas corpus and all of that, just check this one out. This is attorney Brad Dacus, I think, explaining why immigrants don't deserve due process.
If people say, oh, that's, they should be entitled to due process. Well, no, case law says clearly they're not entitled to the same due process protections as U.S. citizens.
What the f*** are you smoking? What case law do you think you read that says that people under U.S. jurisdiction are not entitled to the protections of the Constitution? There is no case law that could erase the Constitution.
Or people who are here illegally. In fact, there's, of course, you have the Secretary of State, and the State Department has tremendous breadth and authority pursuant to the interests and the protection of the interests of the United States to deport people immediately, even people who are here legally as immigrants.
Yeah, as long as it's determined they actually are who we think they are. For example, you don't have a cousin who was arrested by cops. He gave his cousin's name, another cousin, a different cousin, unrelated. He gave his other cousin's name to the cops so that he wouldn't be put in there for longer because he had a warrant out for his arrest. They had him in the system as his cousin for ever. That's why due process is so incredibly important. Make sure they are who they say they are. They really did what they said, what was claimed about them or whatever. And Republicans are trying to create nuance, or really it's MAGA. MAGA-Batamians are trying to create nuance in this. Like, do people who are undocumented, do they get protections under the Constitution the same as U.S.? There's no nuance here. Yes, they do. They have always gotten this protection under the Constitution. There is no gray area here. If they're in the U.S., they are under the Constitution's jurisdiction, and they are protected, period.
But then when you have people who are here as illegal immigrants, they can be removed and deported. They don't have to have a trial. The Obama administration, more than 85% of those that were deported had no hearing or anything.
Yeah, he's trying to create this exception proves the rule thing and saying, well, this guy did it, so it's okay for this guy to do it. No, it's not. And also, I don't even believe him about Obama taking people's due process. No, I'm sorry. I don't believe you on that. Either way, it doesn't matter what the f*** Obama did. You can't take people's due process away. We've had that right since 1200 under the Magna Carta.
We're just deported. Now, I will say this. People say, well, what if they're an actual U.S. citizen and they're just deported? Well, everyone has an opportunity to file what's called a writ of habeas corpus.
Yeah, dumb. That's f***ing due process. You just described due process. Writ of habeas corpus. That is literally what we are saying people should have. And that is literally what you're saying they shouldn't have. How do you promise due process to U.S. citizens but not to non-citizens? How the f*** do you know if they're not citizens? If you don't send them through due process? God, he's an attorney. He knows this. He knows he's lying. You cannot tell me that he doesn't.
So if I'm suddenly going to be deported, I can call my attorney. He can file a writ of habeas corpus, show my driver's license, show my birth certificate. Boom, I'm safe.
Yeah, again, that's due process. You know that.
So we even have some due process to prevent these things from happening when we're dealing with alleged illegal immigrant.
But that's the problem. We don't. That's what we're saying. Trump is taking that ability away. Trump has removed people's ability to show you their license or whatever to prove that they're this person or that person or whatever else. That's what we're all complaining about. He knows that. Colossal. He's complicit. This is a complicit person. He is complicit in violating people's rights upside down, backward, and forward. And in a just world, when Democrats take control of the government again, which they absolutely will, sooner rather than later, he'll be in prison too, right alongside Tom Homan. And, well, Rudy Giuliani's been kind of quiet lately, but him too for all the other that he did. Donald Trump probably won't see time, but all of his little minions will. Pam Bondi, Caroline Leavitt, and all of those people. In a just world, we will see those people in prison. Tell me what you think about it. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. I just finished writing a book titled Was Hitler an Atheist? It talks about religions during the Third Reich and how they work together. Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Protestants. And I even address the lies told by the evangelical world about Bonhoeffer. It's on Audible and Amazon. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.